Hi everybody, this is Jesse Smith. I've got particularly curly hair today because I want to talk to you about Robert Plant. Robert Plant's one of my heroes. He's one of the best rock and roll singers of all time. And tonight I'm off to do a gig with a band called Led Zeppelin, which is a tribute to Robert Plant. Usually when I'm singing, I would just kind of do my own thing and try and sound like me. But obviously the nature of the tribute band is that you try and sound as similar as you can to the artist. If I'm doing a show like the Classic Rock Show or Gutter Dammering or some of the other things I've worked on, I would always try and sing like me and add in elements of the artist that I'm covering, which I think is always cooler. But today I just want to focus on specifically Robert Plant and how he makes those sounds. So the way I would approach this to begin with is always to try and sing as safely as possible. Get used to making those sounds that you want to make safely, and then afterwards you can make them louder, maybe add in some rock and roll grit or whatever you're going for with the sound. But I'd always try and sing it quietly and safely first. That might sound boring to some of you, but it's the truth. The way I would do that, I can go into this in a lot of detail in another video, but for now I'm going to explain what sirening is. So essentially sirening is the quickest and safest way to warm up your voice. Those of you that have been around a lot of professional singers will have often heard people going and essentially what you're doing is using the NG from the end of the word sung. So if you say sung, and then you're using that sound to go up and down your pitch. The reason we do that is because we're not letting loads of air out, so it's not as tiring for your vocal folds or your vocal cords. So what I would do, I would start low and nice and gently do that. Now you might be asking why am I doing sirening when I want to sound like Robert Plant? Now the reason I would do that is because if I want to sing like Robert Plant safely, I would always do it in a sirening type voice first. So for example, Immigrant Song, let me just get the pitch. So if I do my sound, so that's a very soft, gentle way of doing it. So how quietly can you sing that? Because often singing quietly is harder. If you can control your voice at that pitch, then you can definitely do it louder. And that's what I always teach my students, is to get it down quietly first. And then you can work on doing it the other way around. So if I was going to sing Immigrant Song like that, at full voice, it's that kind of mixy, he doesn't really have much grit on it if you listen to the original record. Of course, if you wanted to add grit on, that was a bit much, but you get the point. And Robert Plant often uses this mixy type voice. And a mix is kind of just like this part of your voice that isn't belting, but also isn't falsetto. It's like a strong chest voice without belting, if that makes sense. And the only way to practice that, which is often the most difficult part of your voice, is to do what I was just doing, sirening, safely across that part of your voice. So say you've got your belt, and you get to about here, and then you start getting a bit wobbly. Just do some exercises around those areas. So, and you might need to go to flip into your falsetto, but just try and get it as smooth as you can. And do stuff like that. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so let's look at the verse of Immigrant Song. So, come from the land of the ice and snow, from the midnight sun where the hot springs flow. So one thing that Robert Plant did a lot was enunciate things, which is a bit of a dying art in singing these days. People tend to be quite lazy with the diction when they're singing. I blame television for this, because you can mime to something on television and not open your mouth at all, and for some reason it looks really cool. Not. But Robert Plant was really good at enunciating things, and not always enunciating the things you expected him to. So, I come from the land of the ice and snow. Ice! Ice! So, he really played around with his vowel sounds. Come from the land of the ice and snow, from the midnight sun where the hot springs flow. Obviously I'm overdoing it there to prove a point, but... Hammer of the gods would drive our ships to new land. Ships, ships. It's really interesting the way that he uses vowel sounds. Ah! Give me a second. Come from the land of the ice and snow, from the midnight sun where the hot springs flow. Hammer of the gods. And again, he's not pushing too hard. It's this mix. Come from the land. And what I would practice doing is singing it quietly. Come from the land of the ice and snow, from the midnight sun where the hot springs flow. And if you can get used to singing it at that register, all you have to do is put in a bit more effort. Come from the land. Come from the land. But it's always better to do it quietly. So the chorus, again, if I was to sing it live, I would probably add in a bit of grit on it. But if you listen to the record, it's very much still in this mixy, kind of quite soft register. So, where are we? I'm in sweet with thrashing on. I only go to reach the western shore. He kind of doesn't even say that, he kind of goes, I only go with the western shore. And then again the chorus isn't too pushed. I'm in sweet with thrashing on. I only go with the western shore. That's kind of how it sounds on the record to me. If you wanted to, again, add in a bit of grit live, that's probably what I would do usually. So, always sweet with the rushing on. Our only goal will be the western shore. It's cool to add in a little bit of grit. It's cool. So let me show you those three sections together. Okay, so I'm just going to sing the three sections of the song for you. I'm not going to push too hard. I'm just going to show you what this mixy voice is like. So the hot springs flow, and all of the gods drive the ships to new land, fight the horde, sing and cry, Valhalla I am coming, yeah. I would see you crashing on. Cool. So that's just a very brief rundown of how I would approach singing Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin in the style of Robert Plant. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you'd like to send a donation, that would be very helpful, and I can start making more videos like this. Thank you very much. Have a lovely weekend, guys. Peace.